The North Must Remember, Episode 3 review. So this will consist of videos 20 through 28. Just wanted to say thanks to everyone who is watching. The channel's growing. Most recent video, which has an injured Arya make it back to Harrenhal, received almost 200 views in its first 24 hours, which makes it the second most viewed video total. I don't know why or how so many people are watching, but I'm not going to argue. So if you're new to the channel, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Criticism or questions are always welcome. I'll do my best to respond as quickly as possible, but let's get into this. So video number 20. All right, so Jon seeks out Jaime. I thought this was really important because of the way Jon and Jaime were left during Jaime's trial. Obviously, Jon has a lot of animosity when it comes to Jaime, and deservedly so, right? We saw how he treated Theon when they met back up. It only makes sense that Jon would treat Jaime with that same contempt. All right, but now Jon realizes he needs someone to command the ground forces, right? And his options are kind of limited. There's really no named northern commander. Tormund really wouldn't work. I guess maybe Lady Bran, but Jon really doesn't have a relationship, so he doesn't have that trust built up. So Jon's options are really limited. So it appeared to me that Jaime was the most likely. So Jon needs to deliver a bit of an olive branch, right? So he brings up Robb's armor because, you know, Jaime traveled without any. But it also makes sense that Jon would send out this olive branch simply because of what Jon has just found out. So Jon has recently found out that he's in love with his aunt. Okay, well, if he was looking for some type of advice, it would make sense that he would go to Jaime. Simply because, well, Jaime's the only one he knows that, fell for someone who was related to. So it makes sense Jon would seek Jaime out to look for some brotherly type of advice. So I thought that was a really good scene. All right, moving on to video number 21. Missandei informs Daenerys of the Night King's symbols. So obviously Daenerys is interested. Daenerys then asks for Sansa's blessing. And it's kind of, again, a little bit of a pissing contest. And I think both of them think they came out on top, right? So Sansa blackmailed Daenerys with the information of Jon's lineage. And then Daenerys, through the help of Tyrion, decided to propose to Jon, which of course Jon takes her up on it. So Daenerys is happy, thinking she undercut Sansa to keep the North as part of the Seven Kingdoms, but at the same time, I think that's what Sansa wanted all along. It was a very predictable outcome to the situation that Sansa placed Daenerys in. So I think both of these ladies are walking away thinking they came out on top. And it's, like I said, it's good for Dany because the North will still be in her kingdom, and it's good for Sansa knowing that Jon and Jon's offspring will continue to rule the North as part of the Seven Kingdoms. So it kind of makes sense. Just making a political power play doesn't necessarily mean you need to get everything you want, but a bit of a compromise can be a victory in this aspect. All right, moving on, video 22. So the Starks discuss Jon's lineage. Arya had a very little reaction. Jon struggles with his split identity. He reluctantly chooses to retain Blackfyre and then offers Longclaw back to Jorah. Jon and Dany marry. It does seem kind of pointless. One could say it's fan service, but there is a very important reason why I had them marry, which comes into play in later episodes. So let's just put a pin in that and see if I can convince you that it was necessary later on in the story. Great back and forth between Jon and Varys, right? So Varys has a bit of a intellectual banter, with Tyrion and with Littlefinger. Well, he does the same thing with Jon here, and Jon doesn't know how to react except think he's being threatened. It kind of shows Jon's ineptitude when it comes to political play. Varys very typically uses knowledge as a weapon. Jon is unsure how to handle him, so he basically threatens him, which of course Varys quickly backs down, says, hey, hold your horses, man. I'm just sitting here just trying to advise you when it comes to him realizing that Blackfyre is at Jon's side, okay? Jon realizes that the Strickland defection could be figured out by people who aren't aware of it, right? So he's attempting to play things close to the vest, but didn't realize he's giving clues out to what actually happened. All right, moving on to video 23. All right, Bran of the Blackwater confronts Tyrion. Now, this is kind of in parallel with what happened in the show, but my big change is not that they sent Bran by himself. Cersei was smart enough to send 3 different people: Euron, Bran, and Harry Strickland. All right, so it creates some competition. And she knows for a fact that even if, let's say, one of her assassins get one person, they're going to continue to hunt each other on the way back to King's Landing. So she knows it's more than likely that if all three of her enemies die, that two of these assassins will be killed, possibly by their own hired hands. So Cersei doesn't really care who kills who, just as long as the three, Tyrion, Jaime, and Daenerys, if they all die, who cares who did it, right? Either way, she's offered her hand, so she thinks the assassins will kill each other, one body will come back with three heads, and it'll be easily done. Based off the conversation, he is guaranteed Highgarden, but he knows Cersei is unlikely to win the war, or not guaranteed, simply because I thought it was really important that Bronn has this confrontation with Tyrion and Jaime before the Army of the Dead attack. The reason that's important is because Bronn is going to do whatever is necessary to put himself in best position, right? He doesn't know for a fact whether or not the Army of the Dead is going to win or not, whether or not Daenerys is going to win. So he's not sure of the threat to King's Landing just yet. If they end up winning and then defeat Cersei, it would be smart on on Bronn's end to show some type of, I don't want to say mercy, but some hesitancy towards following Cersei's orders, right? So he's, again, in keeping with Bronn's character, that he kind of straddles the fence. So I thought it was really important to have this confrontation before the Army of the Dead attack, right? It leaves Bronn with some more options. But of course, Bronn doesn't care about marrying Cersei, he cares about running the kingdoms. Jaime takes that as a slight, so you could basically say that Jaime and Bronn's relationship is now officially over. I think one-on-one, Bronn would, easily take him. That's been proven, through their sparring lessons and things like that. So Jaime really had no choice but to kind of back down and kind of just swallow the insults. So, which is just going to fester and fester, in Jaime's belly. So it's going to create some disdain, which I think is pretty important. And then Bronn disappears. And I'll tell you right now, we're not going to see Bronn for a while until pretty much we get resolution at the end of the story. Alright, so moving on, video number 24. Cersei and Kyburn discuss their intel. They combine their doubt of the Strickland alliance, right? So Kyburn finds out through their spy that Jon is carrying Blackfire, and he's able to deduce, just like Varys warned against, that King's Landing, or Cersei, has figured out some possibilities that they could doubt Strickland's allegiance. Not too much to discuss on the back end there. Alright, so video number 25. So we have the Sansa and Hound reunion. The Hound recognizes her game playing and warns her against it. Kind of weird coming from the Hound, but he's seen a lot of politics. He's seen what these people are, non-warrior political types. He's seen what they're capable of. He's never done anything against it. But the guy spent a lot of time in King's Landing in court. So he's bound to have heard, seen things, and I think the Hound's much more intelligent than people probably give him credit for. So, obviously, does he care about Sansa? Yeah, not in a romantic way, but in more of a protective way, kind of the male version of Bran, if you will. So he gives her a bit of a blunt warning against bringing King's Landing political bullshit up to Winterfell, because he's probably never seen anything good come of it, except people kind of bring on their own demise. Sansa and Tyrion discuss their abuse, have a bit of a bonding moment. I've always been, just infatuated with the Sansa-Tyrion storyline. I think they're just two good characters that really kind of just mesh well together. Maybe it could be because of their history of abuse at the hands of, I shouldn't say the hands of their family. That's not true in Sansa's case, but inside their own homes, right? Sansa's biggest abuse happened in Winterfell, and then, again, Tyrion happened when he was a child by his own family. Bran invites Theon to Winterfell. That was, again, another late edition, right? Bran rides out to meet him to give him a formal invite, because last time he showed up, he wasn't exactly invited. We finally get word that the dead will appear tonight. Theon changes his hair. I thought that was a pretty cool idea. Characters typically change their appearance, at least in the show, to reveal different points of their character arc, right? So Jon wore his hair kind of bushy when he was in the Night's Watch. When he became King of the North, or when he left the Night's Watch, he tied his hair back, much like Ned Stark did, like how most Northerners do. As soon as he was sent back to the Night's Watch, in the very last episode, he stopped tying his hair back, right? So very, very kind of a visual key of where the character stands. Same thing with Tyrion, right? Post Tywin murder, Tyrion grew a beard, never got rid of it for the whole rest of the story. And then they do similar things with Jaime's hair and with his beard. That was really interesting. All right, video number 26, Jons War Council. Came up with a bit of a better battle plan. I won't go into the specifics because the video explains it quite a bit. For me, the biggest tactic that I think they should hold on to was not letting them get to the walls. I've heard a lot of criticism of the battle plan where they're like, oh, put all the armies inside Winterfell. And I really don't think that would work. The armies are way too big, and I think they would be up and over the walls very, very quickly, a la, World War Z type style. You don't have to worry about that with normal sieges because the army wouldn't trample themselves trying to get up the walls, right? But these zombies are quite self-sacrificing, right? So they would just kind of create a bit of a pyramid, and they would just run up the side and get over the wall very quickly. So I think the fact that they have people outside of the walls, I think, were really important. I could be wrong on that fact, but it's kind of what I went with it. Also, we kept people out of the crypts. That was kind of silly. They would definitely use it as an evacuation plan, but they know full well that there's going to be zombies inside the crypt once the Night King raises the army, or raises the dead, I should say. All right, moving on. Video 27. Davos takes his pre-battle tour, which has been discussed earlier. That's what he does before a battle, and he kind of just goes around and just looks at other characters. He used Arya's nervousness to impress upon the audience that the battle is on the horizon, right? We've never really seen Arya nervous or scared, and when Gendry notices her hands are shaking, that was at the point for me to communicate to the audience that this is happening, and it's happening now. There's no more delays. They are on the cusp, and we're gonna lose some people. Tyrion and Davos discuss his son. They did impress upon this a little bit in Season 7, but it was more comedic than anything else. So I would think Tyrion would have a little more reluctance of the events that went down. And Davos accepts the blame, which I thought was very important. I don't know how many parents are sitting here listening to this, but a lot of them blame themselves when their kids kind of get themselves into a bad situation. So I think it would make sense that Davos would accept the blame for what happened to Mathos, despite Tyrion's actions. No characters really want to leave anything unsaid at this point. All right, moving on. Video 28, probably my favorite video I've put together thus far. Jenny's song was probably the best part of Season 8, so I kept it in. Barrack's prayer addressed all the different religions, not just his own, which really shows kind of a multicultural approach. People putting their differences aside to accomplish something greater than just themselves. All these small things that typically divide us just seem mundane at this point. The earliest notes was to have Benjen approach just before the battle. I initially thought when I was watching the show, when I saw Melisandre show up on her horse, I thought it was Benjen. And that's what gave me the idea to have this little bit of a difference. I was positive it was Benjen when that horse was approaching. The Night King specifically asked for 3 people. Again, that's important for later on in the story. All right, so that wraps up video 28. So a couple questions or comments from video number 3. Glani really went into how much she liked the multicultural prayer of Barrack and the Night's Watch, words that Jon put in right at the end. That was quite the emotional scene. There's 2 or 3 of these in this entire final season. That was one of my favorites, and Glani really appreciated it. So thanks for the comment. Last one, Wyman Manderley says, I hope Bran doesn't get a damn castle. Yeah, how they ended Bran's character was just probably one of my biggest issues with Season 8. It was just so incredibly stupid. Character review, I was going to do Bran, but I pretty much already discussed him as a character. Quite ambitious, but like I said, I already addressed that earlier in this video. So to close everything out, again, I just want to encourage criticism and questions from anyone that has them. Feel free to comment inside any video, and I'll do my best to address it as quickly as I can. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this. We're getting close to probably the final third, and we're going to get close to the story's climax here very, 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 very soon. Again, please like, subscribe. I won't ask during the storylines simply because it takes you out of the moment. I want you to be able to move from video to video. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed Season 3 review. Talk to you guys later.